We've had several cases of tourists being injured or even worse, killed as a result of doing what their sat-nav app tells them to do on their way to or from Cape Town Airport, and they go through an area like Nyanga or Mitchell's Plain, which are some of the less safe areas. I mean, the fact it is something that one can discuss, that in those areas, many people are murdered annually who are not visiting tourists. But as I tried to explain a little earlier, a murdered tourist or an attacked and hospitalized tourist creates international waves which we would be better without. Mayor Geordin Hill-Lewis joins us now. Geordin, good afternoon. Thanks for...
Afternoon, John.
Um, you met... I read out a statement from Google yesterday because I'd found out only yesterday that you'd met with them last week, and it didn't say
Yes.
anything. What can you tell us about the substance of that meeting and what you hope might come out of it?
Yes, good afternoon. The meeting actually came from the sad incident where the British doctor was killed in Nyanga in the first week of August during the taxi violence. So it's taken some time to get a meeting, but we did have that meeting. And there has been a pretty quick action, actually, from the two teams working together over the course of the last week. We are supplying them a list of areas. They have committed that there will be some kind of on-screen warning, and their AI can actually differentiate, or they're still going to confirm this, but we hope that their AI can actually pick up whether someone is a first-time visitor to Cape Town or to South Africa, so that they might, have discrete warning for those people as well.
A listener in Fishhook who told me yesterday that you'd met with Google last week has written to me again this afternoon to say the US government's latest response to what happened to their citizen, and thank goodness he was able to have a very good conversation with Clarence Ford earlier today from his hospital bed. The US government is now advising citizens who come into South Africa, research your route in advance, stay on major highways, avoid shortcuts through townships, avoid reliance on GPS navigation apps. When driving on city roads, the shortest and fastest route may not be the safest. The safest approach to return a rental car to Cape Town International Airport is to take the N2 highway and follow the signs to Airport Approach Road, exit 16. Alternatively, request the rental car company to collect your vehicle and subsequently arrange an airport transfer from established taxi companies or So, I mean, it was suggested to me when we were discussing this yesterday that it's something that hotels and guest houses and Airbnbs should be doing as well. It's difficult when somebody's coming to stay in your city at your hotel or your Airbnb. You don't want to scare them witless by saying, oh, by the way, avoid these roads when you arrive. So it's a difficult one to balance passing on necessary information and passing on information which dissuades people from wanting to come here.
It is a very, very tricky one, and I just want to thank Google for their willingness to even engage, because I understand the reticence on their part in years gone by about this issue, given how tricky it is and how sensitive it might be. But I do think that there has been a very positive engagement now, and we actually can get some progress. I agree with you, though, that it's not only up to the GPS apps like Waze and Maps and so on. It's also up to tourism establishments. Of course, there is also a responsibility on visitors themselves. We are working and have already actually had success with the car rentals this week, the car rental companies. They have some tourists who still rent GPS devices that we can upload those messages to, but that's quite rare. Most people just use their phones.
Yes, I mean, I got a WhatsApp earlier this afternoon from a listener who listens to us from Dubai, and she was talking about a couple that she knows there who are due to come to South Africa, and in the wake of this latest attack are thinking of cancelling their trip. And she said, what should I say to them? What would you say to them, Geordin?
No, of course not. I mean, for the vast majority of visitors who come to our city, be they visitors from South Africa or from abroad, They have a wonderful time. They have nothing but happy memories, and they are not victims of crime. So, we are dealing with, as you say, that small number of terrible and tragic cases that have a disproportionate effect on our global image and can cost a huge amount of tourism investment and therefore jobs if visitors respond that way. But we know there have been incidents at the Numbi Gate, at Kruger, incidents at Addo Elephant Park. But given the fact that there are 3.2 million visitors who come to the city, they are a very, very infinitesimally small minority of people that have these terrible experiences. But we nevertheless still need to work to minimize even those.
There is this festive season safety plan, just some of the elements of it: 4,000 uniformed and enforcement emergency personnel deployed in shifts, special safety patrols at places like Table Mountains Trail, Signal Hill, Lions Head, Devil's Peak, Boerkaap, Waterfront CBD, safety technology, drones, dash cams, ANPR, CCTV, used as part of a significant 860 million rand investment in safety technology, integrated joint operational centre coordinating safety operations, newly established highway patrol unit monitoring key routes like the N2 and R300 and so on. And I was sharing this with listeners earlier, sort of mentioning the fact that I was going to be talking to you about this stuff. And I had several people saying, why are you spending so much money, paying so much attention to the safety of visitors? Why don't you keep that going 365 a year for citizens as well? I tried an answer, but I'm interested in yours as well.
Well, it links to what you said in your introduction. There are 80,000 people in our city who have direct employment through the tourism industry. If we use the kind of standard rule of thumb of 4-to-1 dependents, that means there's 320,000 people in the city that depend on the tourism industry for their livelihoods. It is massive. It makes it quite by some way our biggest employer in the city. So when we have incidents like this, even if they are very limited because they get coverage on Sky News and BBC or whatever, it has the potential to be very, very damaging to the livelihoods of many Cape Townians. So we do have an absolute clear duty and clear. It's clearly in our interest to make sure that visitors here have a safe and fun time. That's not to say that we aren't making enormous investments all over the city. I mean, the 80 officers that we deployed today to the special tourism safety unit is a drop in the ocean to the special stabilization units that we have employed recently, or deployed rather in the last month in Manenberg to quell a huge spike in gang shootings there. That has been successful, by the way. We've had probably 10 days now of relative peace and quiet there. There has been no additional army deployment or SAPS deployment. That is due to the extra deployment that we have made in those communities. And so we are trying with very limited resources to make deployments in all of these spaces where they are necessary. Of course, it means that you are stretched thinner and thinner on the ground. That is absolutely true. I do just want to make one point, though, that we have to be honest about the causes here. We've seen a noticeable, obvious spike in tourist-related incidents on the mountain in particular and around the CBD after the 1st of September, I think it was, when the 15,000 parolees were released on the special parole program. We have data of all the arrests that we have made of muggers in the CBD and on the mountain, including one last night, that they are repeat offenders. They are parolees who have just recently been released. That's helpful to us in the sense that they don't have to go through a new trial. They've obviously broken parole, and it is straight back to jail. But it is also, we have to be honest, that we have to think about the consequences of those kind of special parole programs before we do them, because we are now dealing with the consequences in the uptick in crime in the city.
Mayor Geordin Hill-Lewis, thank you very much.